My parents secretly gave my entire wedding to my sister. Now I'm the one being called selfish. Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. I still can't believe I'm typing this. Every time I go over it in my head, I think there's no way this actually happened, but it did. My parents, the people who were supposed to love and support me, gave my wedding away to my younger sister. The venue, the dress, the catering, the decorations, all of it. They handed it over like it wasn't mine to begin with. And now I'm being told I'm the one overreacting. I'm the one tearing the family apart, and I need to apologize. So here I am, putting it out there. Maybe someone, anyone, can tell me I'm not losing my mind. Let me start from the beginning. I'm 29 years old. I've been with my fiancé, Ethan, for almost 8 years. We met in college, moved in together after graduation, and got engaged last year. We're not flashy or rich, but we've built a life we're proud of. We're both big on planning, and since we knew we want to get married eventually, we had some savings set aside and already talked about what our ideal wedding would look like. My parents offered to help financially with the wedding. They're very comfortable money-wise. My dad owns a successful contracting business, and my mom inherited some property years ago that she rents out. They told me it would be their gift to us, and honestly, I was touched. It felt like a real gesture of love, and it made me feel like maybe, just maybe, they were finally seeing me for who I was, not just as the responsible one who didn't need anything. Because, see, I've never been the favorite. That would be my sister, Rachel. Rachel is 26 and has always been the golden child. She was the kind of kid who never heard no. When she wrecked my dad's car at 17, he bought her a better one. When she dropped out of college and moved back in with my parents, rent-free, with a parade of shady boyfriends, they called her a free spirit and blamed society. When I got into grad school and was barely scraping by on my own in a tiny apartment, they couldn't even remember what I was studying. I used to think maybe I was just jealous, that maybe I was imagining the difference in how we were treated. But over the years, it became impossible to deny. Rachel could do no wrong. She was dramatic and manipulative, but every tantrum was met with understanding. Every mess she made was cleaned up by someone else. And every time she failed, my parents bent over backwards to soften the landing. Still, I try not to hold on to bitterness. I had Ethan, a solid job, my own little apartment, and for the first time in a while, I felt like maybe I was on the same playing field. My wedding was going to be the first big thing that was mine. Something I could be proud of. Something I could look back on and say, I did this. They showed up for me. And for a while they did. Or so I thought. I remember the first time I toured the venue, this gorgeous renovated barn on a lake, about an hour from where I grew up. Rustic but elegant. I fell in love with it the second I saw it. My mom came with me to the tour, and she seemed genuinely excited. She took pictures. She said things like, "This is going to be magical, and your grandma would have loved this." I actually teared up because for once, she wasn't distracted. She wasn't checking her phone for Rachel's latest crisis. She was with me. We booked the venue that day. She paid the deposit, a little over $6,000. Said it was her wedding gift to me. We hugged. I cried in the car on the way home. That was one of the last good memories I have with her. The next few months were a blur of planning. Ethan and I made mood boards, set up tastings, designed invites. My parents offered to cover the catering and the dress. I said I'd pay for the flowers and photographer. We weren't trying to throw a Kardashian wedding, just something beautiful and personal. I chose deep green and gold as the color scheme. We found a small folk trio for live music. My dress was this stunning A-line with lace detailing and subtle pearl accents. It made me feel like royalty without being over the top. Rachel didn't seem interested. I tried to include her, I really did. I asked if she wanted to help with the bridal shower. If she wanted to come dress shopping, she bailed last minute, citing a vibe shift, and even asked if she wanted to give a speech. She always said she was too busy or not into wedding stuff. One time she said, "It's kind of gross how much people obsess over one day." I brushed it off. She was always like that, dismissive when she wasn't the center of attention. What I didn't realize is that she was paying attention, just not in the way I thought. And looking back, there were signs. There were moments I should have clocked as suspicious. Like when I called the florist to confirm our arrangements, and they told me they had me listed for a different delivery date, a week earlier than I'd booked. Or when the venue manager emailed me asking to confirm final details with the bride, and I thought, aren't I the bride? I chalked it up to miscommunication. Vendors get details wrong all the time, right? Right? That was what I told myself, until it all came crashing down. Everything started to unravel exactly 1 week before the wedding. It was a Thursday morning, and I was finalizing the last few details before the big day. I had the day off work and had made a checklist for myself, confirming with the DJ, touching base with the caterer, going over seating arrangements, etc. It was supposed to be exciting. Stressful, sure, but in that happy, pre-wedding way people always talk about. Instead, it was the day my life flipped sideways. The first red flag came from the venue coordinator. I called her to go over guest arrival times and confirm the setup plan for the ceremony arch and reception tables. She paused on the phone and said, I have Rachel listed as the primary contact for those details. I blinked. Rachel? Yes, she said casually. Rachel, last name. She confirmed the new head count and finalized the menu on Tuesday. There was silence on my end for probably 5 full seconds. I think there's a mistake, I finally said. This is my name, the bride. Rachel is my sister. The woman sounded confused. Oh, that's odd. She said she was the bride. It was like ice poured through my chest. I'll be right there, I said, and hung up before I could hear anything else. I drove straight to the venue. I didn't even tell Ethan I was going. I didn't know what I'd find. I just knew something was very, very wrong. My stomach was in knots. It was like that creeping dread you get when something terrible is happening, but it hasn't fully hit you yet. Like the split second between a car swerving in your direction and the impact. When I arrived, I asked to speak to the manager in person. She brought out a folder, the wedding folder, filled with updated contracts, menus, seating charts. But it wasn't my name on the updated paperwork. It was Rachel's. Everywhere, as the bride. My fiancé's name was gone, replaced by Matt, her boyfriend of 6 months. The catering menu was changed. The floral arrangements had been altered. The date was the same, next Saturday, and the guest list was nearly identical. Except my name wasn't on it. I sat down hard in the lobby of that venue, shaking. I asked the coordinator, trying to keep my voice steady. When was this change made? She checked her notes. Last week. Rachel said there had been a sudden change of plans and that the bride, you, had agreed to let her use the date instead. We were a little surprised, but she seemed confident it had been worked out within the family. I couldn't even respond. My throat felt like it was closing. I got in the car and drove straight to my parents' house. I don't even remember the drive. I just remember ringing the doorbell over and over until my mom finally opened the door. She looked calm, too calm, like she expected me. I didn't even get a full sentence out before I heard my sister's voice from the living room. Oh my God, are you seriously freaking out right now? I walked in and found her standing in front of a full-length mirror in my wedding dress. My dress, the one I picked out with my mom, the one she paid the deposit on, the one I had already scheduled to pick up in 3 days. Take it off, I said, my voice low and shaking. Take it off. Right now. Rachel rolled her eyes. Relax. It's just for alterations. We're paying for it. I turned to my mom. What the hell is going on? My dad walked in from the kitchen. They were all there. No one seemed surprised to see me. Mom gave me this patronizing look like I was a child throwing tantrum. Sweetheart, we didn't think you'd react this way. React to what? I snapped. You gave my entire wedding to Rachel. The date, the venue, the dress, everything. Without telling me. Rachel crossed her arms. It's not that deep. I just got engaged and we wanted to move fast. You and Ethan haven't even sent out the invites yet. I've been planning this for a year. My dad cut in, and Rachel finally found someone who's right for her. She's been struggling, and this wedding is a turning point for her. And what about me? I asked, staring at him in disbelief. You're already settled, he said. You and Ethan are fine. This doesn't have to be a big deal. I started laughing, one of those horrible, bitter, choked laughs you make when you can't cry anymore. You didn't even ask me. You just took it. It's not like we canceled yours, Mom said. We just postponed it. Postponed it? To when? She hesitated. We thought maybe next year. Once Rachel and Matt are more stable, we can revisit yours. But for now, this is what's best for everyone." I stared at them. "So let me get this straight. You took my wedding, gave it to Rachel, lied to me, and now you're telling me it's what's best for everyone." "You don't need to be so dramatic," Rachel said. "It's just a day. We can share vendors. You still have your man, don't you?" That was it. I left. I don't even remember walking out the door. I got in my car and sat there for 10 minutes, hands shaking so badly I couldn't start the engine. When I got home, Ethan took one look at me and asked what happened. I couldn't speak for a full minute. Then I told him everything. The venue, the dress, my sister, my parents. He didn't say a word. He just hugged me while I sobbed into his chest. Then he said, "We're not giving them another second of our lives." The next 3 days were a blur. Not the kind of blur you get from adrenaline or excitement. The kind that feels like you're underwater, moving in slow motion while the world above you keeps spinning. I didn't leave the house. Ethan handled most of the texts and calls. I didn't have the strength to talk to anyone. It was like my brain couldn't fully process what had happened. I'd spent over a year planning that wedding. Every detail, from the venue to the playlist to the seating chart, was mine. It wasn't about a party. It was about creating a day that celebrated the life Ethan and I had built together. And my family took it from me like it was a coat I wasn't wearing. Ethan, bless his heart, went into full fix-it mode. He made a list. He said, "We're still getting married next Saturday. I don't care if it's in a damn parking lot. We're doing this. On our terms." And somehow we made it happen. His parents were amazing. They offered their backyard, which honestly looked beautiful once his cousins helped string up some lights. One of Ethan's friends had a connection to a local bakery who squeezed us in for a simple cake. Our florist, the original one I'd booked, felt so bad when she heard the story that she offered to redo the bouquet order herself at cost. I wore a simple white dress from a vintage shop that I found 2 days before the ceremony. It wasn't a dream dress, but when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see disappointment. I saw someone who refused to be erased. We invited a smaller group, just close friends, Ethan's side of the family, and a couple of coworkers who knew the situation. We didn't bother sending formal invitations. I wrote a short post on my private Facebook page saying the location had changed and that those who truly wanted to celebrate with us would know how to find us. I didn't even tell my parents or Rachel. Not that they reached out. The morning of the wedding, I woke up and braced myself for some kind of text, call, message, anything. But there was nothing. It was like I didn't exist. Ethan and I got married in the soft glow of sunset, standing under a handmade arch built by his uncle. I walked down the aisle to an instrumental version of the song we danced on our first date. I cried. He cried. Everyone cried. It was raw, imperfect, and absolutely real. The only moment that broke the spell was later that night, after we'd said our vows and had our first dance, when one of Ethan's friends showed me something on his phone. Rachel had posted a photo dump on Instagram. Can't believe I got my dream wedding in under a month. When it's right ring, 2 hearts, hashtag, blessed, hashtag, wife vibes, hashtag, forever. There she was, wearing my dress, standing in my venue, posing under my floral arch with Matt, who, in the most surreal twist, had no idea about the drama. Apparently, Rachel told him her parents had pulled strings to get them a great last-minute spot after cancellation. There was even a photo of my parents grinning ear to ear. My mom had the nerve to wear the same dress she bought for my wedding day. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the screen for a while before handing the phone back and walking inside. That was the moment I knew I was done. 2 days later, I got a text from my mom. "We heard you went through with your own wedding. We're disappointed you didn't include the family. This division has gotten completely out of hand. We hope, in time, you'll find it in your heart to apologize for how you've handled all this. Rachel is very hurt. We were only trying to do what's best for everyone." That was the last straw. I responded once, not even with anger, just clarity. "You took everything from me and gave it to someone who never earned it. You didn't ask, you didn't warn me, and you sure as hell didn't care. I want to apologize for protecting myself from people who clearly don't see me as family. Consider this goodbye. Block them all. Every number. Every social. I even changed my email. It's been 3 months now. Ethan and I are living in a new apartment. We used the money we saved from the wedding madness for a honeymoon road trip across the Pacific Northwest. It's not the life I thought I'd have. It's better. Sometimes I still lie awake wondering how they justified it in their minds. How they convinced themselves that stealing something so deeply personal was somehow noble. That robbing one daughter to prop up another was doing what's best for the family. But most nights I sleep soundly, because I know I'm no longer waiting for approval from people who never really saw me to begin with. They gave my wedding away, and in return, I gave them exactly what they deserved. Nothing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.